Yes, that's right. I want to know what the hell's going on too. But this is Star Trek Deep Space Nine, a recap. Deep Space Nine at 9ish. We are covering season 3, episode, what is it, 4 or 5? Episode 4. Equilibrium. It's all about Dax. Get used to it. She's in a bad mood, and don't get in her way. But we have a great. I'm Jeff Mader, by the way. I'm the host of this beautiful program that we have here called there. Thank you, Dave, for bringing that up. There's my name. Deep Space Nine at 9ish. We are talking about Equilibrium. Okay, so let's bring in who we have to talk about Equilibrium. We'll bring in one half of the tag team couple. Let's bring him on in, Kevin Millard. There he is, going for the Intercontinental belt. He's going solo. He's breaking off with the tag team. We also bring in Jaemeel Robinson. I hear he's just dropped in. Little bow to our. Where's Jaemeel? There he is. Little bow.
He's saying that's right.
Okay, and then last but not least, we'll bring in the godfather of the Longa podcast. We have Dave Vader.
Hello, and good evening. And quiet. Okay. I'm trying to play my music.
Yeah, I can't remember why I know music because none of the other people could play a lick. But this one guy I can't remember could for 6 months. Okay. I kind of buried the lead, but all right. First off, right off the bat, I mean, this episode for me is not good because of Dax. This episode is good because of Bashir and Cisco. Like their whole thing, especially at the end, is just like awesome to watch because they're both like you. I would normally just take one of them figuring out the puzzle, but both of them together in tandem figuring. Oh, it was fantastic. So that I really enjoyed. But let's bring it over to Kevin. Mm-hmm. What did you make of the episode? Did you kind of feel the same way? Did you like the Dax stuff? Did you like Jadzia's performance?
I'm hit and miss on this episode. It's not a bad one. As far as Dax episodes go, it's all right.
Yeah.
I think they when they stopped trying to make Dax show this vulnerable side of Dax, the character got better.
Yeah.
It just never landed for me, this like I'm scared, I'm afraid thing.
Was it their pajama party moment, Kevin? Specifically?
Yeah. This is crazy to me. This is unwatchable. Her performance here is brutal.
Well, we do start off, guys. The first opening scene is Cisco's making food for everybody, and he's talking to Odo, and Odo's all about like doesn't eat. He doesn't eat, but he finds the preparation fascinating. He likes stirring the thing very attentively.
The secret to a good souffle.
It's right.
Stir the bowl underneath.
Stir the bowl underneath, apparently, and you get a dollar store bowl as your prop.
And you go like this. For some reason, he's very attentive. We also learn about beets. Julian's not a fan of beets, but you know what? Cisco's gonna prepare them just right. So, Julian's just never had a good Creole Cajun beets.
Are the Cajuns and the Creole known for their beets? I
don't think so. It was an odd choice.
Yeah,
it would have made more sense if they were like Bajoran beats, and then like he incorporated that into his like Earth Creole Cajun stuff. I think that would have been cool.
I've never been to New Orleans, but souffle also comes up quite a bit from Cisco when he's cooking. Right. He's talking about souffles. He often makes metaphors related to souffles. They will either rise or it will fall, but you can't do a damn thing about it. I think because New
Orleans is a very French place especially for cuisine, and so they would have learned all the French practices of making especially souffles and tarts and all sorts of different things. Really they kind of always lay onto the jambalaya and the Creole stuff, but really you would have a lot of the the finer cuisine.
A jumbo what, Jeff?
A jambalaya.
I remember that was what Quark, he was like, a jumbo what?
A jumbo what? Yeah. Dax enters. She's like, "Oh, what a day working on sensor relays," and she's all like, "Hope you like beets. Nice even strokes, right? So he's like, that's what they kept saying, nice even strokes, with the beats,
Yeah. Oh,
I was like,
right.
I was like, are they trying to put sexual innuendos into the opening of this scene? It was weird. I don't, they keep talking about nice even strokes and beats, and okay. Kira thinks Odo's cute when he's very focused, kind of like Jameel's doing right now. This is kind of like, I think Kira's flirting with Odo a little bit here. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah,
I think she, she kind of like leads Odo down that path that will end up down later on.
I don't know if she's flirting specifically. I think she's Odo's still in the friend zone at this point.
Yes,
and
but it's like she's like very warm, I guess would be. She's very warm toward him.
She's warm. I think she's trying to be, like have a connection with Odo. I think that was something she was trying for a long time, but Odo wanted more, and eventually it became more, and there's a mixed reaction to it, mostly in the community, but it's I thought it worked mostly, so I thought it was a good moment between them.
So then Dax finds Jake's Tanier. I don't know why Jake has it, but it serves the plot. So I guess that's why he had it. She just starts like busting it out. She starts playing like this tune on it. She's like, oh, I don't know how to play this at all. I have no idea how to play music, but I'll just jam out here. No problem. Everyone's kind of like, okay, you do you. Right?
Exact words.
And then
that was kind of what they said.
That's kind of what they said. They were like, all right, yeah, I guess.
It was Kira who said it, right?
Kira was kind of, well, she did kind of say that. She was like, maybe you learned it from childhood or something. I don't know,
It will come to you.
It'll come to you.
I want to point out here, though, that this is the first point I think that we see that the Doctor is genetically enhanced, because only someone trying to seem stupid would say maybe it's beginner's luck.
Yeah. No, he says a lot of dumb things. He really does. And you may, yes, I do think back to moments like that with Bashir, because I go, that must have been difficult. If he is, because he could have just faked the fact that he knew music, because he does. He says that to Kira in an early episode. He's like, oh, I made a point of listening to Bajoran music. So obviously he's into music, right? So he could have just went with that. But yeah, I agree with you, Kevin. I do feel like he shelters his abilities to because he would have known exactly what she was playing as far as not the song, but the melody and if it was difficult or if it was not. Jaemeel, you haven't said anything. I need you in here. I need first we do a little bow, and then we ask you, what do you think of this episode? We're just talking about the intro here. We're right before the credits.
Dax playing scared little girl is kind of is such a weird type of character decision during part of this episode. I don't know if it's Terry Farrell's inability. Oh gosh, not that scene. I was watching. I didn't remember this episode, so I'm like, is she gonna a personality is just gonna jump his bones? Because it just seemed like such an odd character choice for her to be more or less so timid and scared like a child, and it was weird. A large part of this episode is weird. I know you're recapping it. The scene that you were just talking about before, how it ends, where she just kind of is playing and she just looks off into nothing, and then credits. It just seems like it just ends. The scene ends and it goes to the credits. It's such an awkward transition. This is a poor
okay.
episode.
I disagree that it's I do agree that it's a poor episode, but it is a great finale kind of part to the I really like the end part, but then we'll get there. But yes, I agree. This is why I dislike Dax. For the most part, I feel like she's underutilized. They really could have done some fantastic things with her character, and we get Jadzia swimming around in a white bath. That's what we get. With her character, a lot of times it's just it's kind of boring. The trills should be way cooler. I think.
Shouldn't she just her character, the way it's built, shouldn't it just be a robot that just has memories of past hosts, because like literally that's what she is, right? She's like almost emotionless. She's there to like, Benjamin, I remember this, or Curzon used to do this, and then she screws people. That's basically it. That's basically her character in 3 points.
This kind of reminded me, this episode, of Mr. Robot, Dave, where, okay, she has this memory that she doesn't remember. Now it's resurfacing and she doesn't remember what it is and who, you know, what's going on. It kind of reminded me of Mr. Robot, but way worse. You know, like Mr. Robot really figured out how to kind of do that hallucination, bring it in and out of consciousness, what's real, what's not. That they really could have done well, I think, with even this episode, but like it just falls short.
Yeah, Jeff? Like I think if they'd done this today, Jeff, I think they would have done it over like maybe as an arc, right? We would have got hints to this in like episodes, but they wouldn't necessarily have crammed it all into 45 minutes. I think we've talked about this before, that Jadzia Dax as a character is largely lacking, especially in these early seasons, because who is she in comparison to the other hosts, right? This is another example. Oh, guess what? Even all those other hosts, there was another secret murderous host that you never knew, but it doesn't give us a lot into who Jadzia is. You know, we had that first season episode Dax where she's on trial for what Curzon may or may not have done, right? And how resolute she is about honoring that thing. In season 2, there's the John Glover who steals her symbiote, right? And or the Dax symbiote just to get rejoined, but she's mostly out of the mix in that episode and doesn't have a lot to do. And her scenes are okay. And then Blood Oath, which I think was the strongest one of these early ones, where she's out with the Klingons. But again, she's chasing Curzon's old stuff, you know, and she's choosing to make that part of Curzon's life part of hers, so that's fine. But here we got another example of I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am beyond the Dax symbiote, and how disposable Jadzia is, right? Mm-hmm. You know, the symbiote's all that matters. Jadzia's life is not what matters, and Ben Sisko is like, no, they're both important. There's 2 lives basically here.
Not good enough, damn it.
Not good enough. Not good enough, damn it.
No, I've only just begun.
So this episode serves other purposes. It does more to fill in the Trill society, and by de facto it helps the Jadzia character because it just tells us more about Trills. It also it gives up more of a sense of family here, because Sisko and Bashir, the rest of the crew didn't seem to care. Kira, O'Brien, none of them came, but Bashir and Sisko go to bat here for Jadzia, and I think it really.
Odo's busy.
Sure. Odo's busy mixing. Quark's busy. Whatever. None of the only these 2 seem to really take agency here.
Okay, and the other one I thought it also reminded me of, Dave, was the War Doctor in Doctor Who, where you have this like thing you know, very similar as well.
Well, this is before that too.
Hold on a second. Like the Bashir recommends therapy as a method of kind of dealing with this, and it's just kind of brushed off. Like, no, we're not gonna, delve into the psychological facts of this. It's just gonna be pure. Like, it must be a medical. Like, give me a tablet and we'll figure this out. My enzymes are low. When like. I thought that would be a valid, pursuit. Like, if this was indeed an arc, there would be an arc where she's going to therapy, and it's like
it came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
no, for sure. Like this whole episode, that's probably a problem with Dax. There's no arc. With Kira, there's all this arc of who she knew before, the Resistance and Dukat, and there's all this meaty stuff with Kira. With Dax, it's like nothing. They're just like they're like, I don't know, figure an episode out for her, and then we'll move on to the next one because we have something good the next one. That's how I feel about a lot of these Dax episodes. But there are still good things. Like I said, I really love Sisko and Bashir in this episode, but yet I do not really like the whole Trill stuff. But anyway, let's talk about the chess match, guys, where she's humming the thing and Sisko politely tells her to shut the hell up. So she
do me a favor and stop.
Do me a favor. He says try. She keeps doing it. and while closing her eyes, and then all of a sudden, like he just literally just moves one horse, the one move. He goes check, not even checkmate, check, and then that was it for Dax. I mean, that was
Was this cheat me?
Was this Duran coming out in Jadzia? Like, was this like, oh, you try to beat me, while I'm humming my song? Like maybe Duran played chess once and closed his eyes while he was humming and.
Well, I think it's meant to
represent
the Duran personality. Yes, I think it's supposed to be. We're getting glimpses into who Duran was, he's not a very nice guy.
Maybe that's not it though. Maybe this is Jadzia.
Yeah,
right. Came out.
She dropped out for a reason.
Yeah, she's the only candidate to ever rejoin.
You're trying to cheat me out of this symbiote.
Yeah, I don't want to go back there. They're going to try and take the symbiote from me. I know all about their secrets. Okay. Okay, what else we got here?
Well, it's tense. Like that whole scene with where she's like, there's that scene, and then the scene with Kira and the Replomat right after, where she's like, "Hey, what happened?" And she's like, "I knew you would take his side." And the jerk Jadzia, I was enjoying it a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, attitude. Yeah, it was
the attitude.
Like,
Jadzia.
Take a swing. Take a swing.
I like it.
Take it, Kira.
Yeah. Oh, and then all you need is like Kramer and go Cafe. Yeah.
I like to think Jack and O'Brien throw down fisticuffs. They both got attitude.
So she goes from this fierce, angry, paranoid Jadzia into like this timid child, sad puppy Dax.
Right.
That's probably where it falls flat.
Yeah. Well, you mean when they're in pajamas and you're like, what is going on here? And why is this a scene?
Okay, and we need to talk about these pajamas.
I knew you would. I knew it.
Not hers. Not hers, but his.
Hers an English boy.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what again, they take out the Defiant here, Jeff, because they figure out they got to go back to Trill. They got to go to the Trill homeworld. So this is our chance to see her world. But
forget about the Dominion,
Dominion forget about the Dominion, forget about any of that. But it's at least going to take one night to get back to Trill, I guess.
Can we back up for just 2 seconds though? Like Bashir says that Dax needs to go to Trill, right? And then Cisco's like, "Well, I guess I'm coming with." And you remember? He goes, "Well, I guess I get to see Trill after all." It's like, what if you wanted to go by herself? Like, what? He's like, "I'm coming."
Take a runabout. They still have the runabouts, but I think Cisco just wants a chance to take his ship somewhere.
I agree.
He gets a captain hat and he just wears it. He's like, "I am the captain."
He's like,
because later on, when he says, when he calls Joren's brother or whatever, he says, "I'm the captain of the D Space Nine," or the commander of the D Space Nine station. He doesn't say commander of the Defiant, even though that's what he's at that moment he's doing. So they're still kind of like, because the Defiant's role in this episode is kind of interesting to me, Jeff, because it's like this is what they would have used to do with a runabout. It could have just been the three of them in a runabout, but instead they took a whole ship and they had a whole crew. Like all these extras were just
he's a captain now. He's out of the commander penalty that he was in for 2 seasons. Sorry, he's not a captain yet. When is he a captain?
The end of this season.
The end, right? So, but yeah, okay. I think he's ready to get going as far as having a ship. I think he was very, there wasn't a lot of opportunity for him to be a commander other than on a station, which how much stuff comes to you.
Never. Like they never had it. Like what's amazing to me about the first 2 seasons of Deep Space Nine is how little action there is. As we're on the station, there's no battles really or anything like that. Most of it's with Bajorans or fighting Bajoran guys, most of it doesn't pay off.
Cardassian.
I know you want to trash Babylon 5, Jeff, but Babylon 5 had action, space.
Take a shot, everyone. Take a shot. Babylon 5.
The year was 2258.
The place is Babylon 5, and they would always have all the fighter, like the Star Furies and whatever, and all the battles. And Deep Space Nine will have that in a couple seasons, or even a year from this season.
I think Battlestar Galactica is Babylon 5 and Deep Space Nine merged together. under
I think
Ronald
there's
D,
influences.
Ronald D. Moore's guidance. I think that's kind of what it is. But anyway, I agree. There's more action in Babylon 5, but once the action gets going in DS9, it's really good. And Star Trek's always like this. It's always boring at first. Voyager's too. The first 2 seasons are pretty boring. They're like just.
We can't afford special effects. Just give them a monologue. That's kind of like what Star Trek does.
There's a lot of Neelix and Kess and just like learning about these people. And it's same thing here. It's like, we got to learn about the Trills. We got to learn about
Just
Odo.
Imagine this episode with Neelix doing the undercover work to figure out what happened with Jadzia. I just recently watched a random Voyager episode, and the major plot was Kess and Neelix talking to each other, and then Neelix go, I have to investigate the situation, to which he starts proceeding to go to engineering to talk to security officers as to how to send a secret subspace message to the Kazon. I'm like, flip, no thank you. I do not want to see this at all.
The Neelix episode, I remember that episode. What power ranking? Bartenders in Star Trek. Okay, we have Guinan, Quark, and Neelix.
Quark, Guinan, Neelix.
Quark, Guinan, Neelix. That's pretty. I mean, I don't think anyone would change it.
Yeah. No, remember the was it the episode in TNG where you have? Well, he's a waitstaff. I would still count the waitstaff over Neelix. The waitstaff, black dude that played poker. He's above Neelix as well.
Oh, in Lower Decks. That guy's great.
Yeah, Lower Decks episode, yeah.
Yep,
you're absolutely right. And I could probably replicators above Neelix. Broken replicators above Neelix.
Even when the replicators are fucking up, they're less annoying than Neelix.
Cardassian replicators above Neelix. Cisco and his jambalaya, right? Cisco's dad. There's a whole list of people above Neelix.
I'd like to see Neelix, try to do a cook-off with Cisco. It wouldn't even be close.
No.
Yeah. Neelix, not everyone even agreed that Tuvix was a better cook than Neelix.
Even Janeway.
Yeah, everyone was like, his food's better. That's how crappy Neelix's food was.
Are we talking Tuvix?
We're talking Tuvix here on DS9
episode. And I love that they bring them back and everybody's kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. I liked Tuvix. I think they should have kept with it, but it was a one-off show.
So final standings, it is Quark, Guinan, Lower Decks.
Tuvix. Ben Neelix.
Ben Cisco, Replicator, Broken Replicator, Cardassian Replicator, Neelix.
Yeah, okay. That guy who serves the drinks with the triples on K7, probably.
The list goes on.
We can make a bigger list,
but there are a lot of
Neelix
food
is always at the bottom.
Neelix always the bottom. Nobody agrees.
I like Ethan Phillips a lot, but geez,
there are no huge Neelix fans. As much as they try to sell us on that character.
Yeah.
They really did. But that's a different story for a different time. That's Voyager at 7-ish or something. We're talking about Deep Space Nine and 9-ish. We're going on here with Equilibrium. After the pajama scene, they get to Trill. And we meet the lady that's in charge of the whole symbiote process initiation thing. She, right? She's very. What's her name? I don't know.
Doctor. I just call her Doctor.
Bad
Doctor. Bad Doctor. Okay, so Trill Doctor
Red Hall.
Right. She's like all very friendly at first. She's like, "Oh, we just want to kind of give you a few shots. Bashir can hook you up. You'll be on your way." I'm like, "Oh, that's a fast episode," but that didn't happen. So she goes back to the Defiant, and then they find the music. And they're like, "Hey, check out, this is the music. It's by this guy, Duran." And she's like, "Oh, that's it." And then immediately goes into a anaphylactic shock and, starts hallucinating. And we haven't mentioned it, but before in the station too, she saw a robed guy with masks that was pulling the mask off, like kind of like Face Off, and kind of like, but also kind of like the Grim Reaper. It was very creepy. What is that? The memory of Duran killing Tarius? Is that what's going on there?
No, Jarius was a part of Anonymous. You didn't know. That's why.
Oh.
No, Jarius. No, who are we talking about? No,
Tarius.
Duran. Tarius was the previous host, right?
Yes. So he got killed, right?
He was the one. He was like the test pilot.
He was the shuttlecraft accident.
Who was married to the previous host of the Khan symbiote, and that's the one that's like the same sex kiss and all like the Jedzir has later on, right? That's from that host. So that host was like a shuttle pilot on a new test ship, got into a crash, was supposedly in a coma, but actually with the symbiote, what it actually was actually joined to this other guy, this serial killer Duran, which is kind of interesting. Like, what if one of your previous hosts was a serial killer? Wouldn't that suck? I guess.
Yeah, I guess it would, for sure. But going on, like, you don't think it's a memory? They say it's a memory, Dave. The guy with the mask and the robe. You saying that's not a memory?
I don't think so. Like, not a memory. It didn't feel like a memory. It felt more like it was, or maybe it was, but all we know is that Duran killed the guy at the Symbiosis Commission with a nice pick in the neck.
Oh, he didn't kill Tarius. I thought that was Tarius that he killed.
No, that was like somebody who was trying to bounce him from the program to get a symbiote. He killed that guy, and ended up getting joined. Which is what blew the lid off of all of Troll Society, apparently.
Yeah, so that's the big thing, is that really half the population could be joined, but they're like, no, we gotta make this a Harvard elitist prep school that figures out 1 in 1,000 people that could maybe be, like that's basically what they did. And the reason why they did that was because they can't have every Joe Blow coming through the door wanting a symbiote, because then if everybody knew that, then it could be like a revolution where everybody wanted to be joined.
I know we're skipping ahead here, but this deal that Cisco makes, or that Cisco and Bashir make at the end with this Dr. Renhall, to keep this a secret, save Jedzir, let her reconcile her issues, and but like, I don't know if I agree with Dr. Renhall. Like, yes, if like more of the population knew they could be joined, like there'd be more who'd want to, but this society, I think, would still value like certain individuals being joined, like certain unique individuals.
Yeah, the reason is that there's not enough symbiotes for all the people that would want to be joined, so they're worried the planet would descend into chaos.
Is that a founded fear, I guess, is my question, or is that just
they would also question the methods and how people are chosen, right? And if enough people were not accepting the status quo or the organization that was actually making those decisions, then there could be massive upheaval and could result in the loss of symbiote's life. Because just imagine if you're told and you accept that you cannot get a station because of a certain set of metrics, and then you realize the people who are policing those metrics are corrupt or have this gigantic secret, then they're like, well, how can I trust that this is an adequate method of tracking? You've kind of been controlling and being secretive, and you have your own agenda. We want to overhaul, or I want my fair shake. Right, which might not make sense in how they determine going forward. So,
right, but they also want to screen these people heavily because they don't want to have murderers get a symbiote.
Well, it's not working out great for them because it happened anyway.
No, I think the truth always comes out eventually.
Right.
And they're gonna have to deal with this one way or another. And we did get to see a fast forward to Trill Society in Star Trek Discovery. In the third season.
Is Trill a member of the Federation?
At least by the Discovery time they are, and they were. They left the Federation after the burn.
Well, if they're a member of the Federation at this time, I don't think Cisco has any business not like keeping that secret. he has any business keeping that secret.
It's an internal affair of their planet, right? Of their society.
They're a member of the Federation.
He literally doesn't care though. He's literally just using it as leverage. He's like, it's his whole plan, you know.
Well,
that's
his move.
Yeah, he's a mafia boss. He's like, look, you don't do this, I'm making an offer you can't refuse. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, there's some debate whether Trill is a Federation member at this point in Starfleet or Federation history or Star Trek universe timeline. But I think that everything in this episode shows me that they kind of are, or probably are, a Federation member at this point, but they weren't necessarily, but they weren't in like the time of Kirk and all that yet. They were still an independent world, because Discovery kind of fills in some gaps that they didn't really know a lot about the Trill in the time of Michael Burnham and whatever. So that like they knew of them, but not much about them yet. They didn't know about symbiotes or any of that.
That's for Discovery on Thursdays, Dave. We're here talking about Deep Space Nine and
all connected, Jeff. It's all connected.
Where's your board? With your board, all the information. It's all connected.
Yeah. In 1995, we didn't know about a stupid show called Star Trek Discovery.
Hadn't happened yet.
So,
sound like Dad on Wednesdays. We didn't know they were going to make an episode.
This is my version. This is my version of that.
Yeah.
I watched this, and when we stopped watching it, that was it.
That was it. 1994. We never thought we'd talk about it again. That was it.
That was it. It was one and done. We thought, you know what? We didn't think you care about the progression of the Dax character.
Yeah, we didn't think that they would make another Star Trek show in the future. They would go back to Trill. Well, you didn't? Oh, maybe we did, but anyway.
Okay. Then Dax and Bashir and Cisco go down to meet the guy that's an unjoined Trill that takes care of the, I don't know, hot springs.
He's the guardian, Jeff.
He's the guardian of the hot springs.
He's not the guardian of forever, but he's like the little cave keeper. We also met one of him in Discovery. Not that counts for Jeff, but
hot tubs.
Yes,
I like this guy. He's weird.
Yeah, he's quirky, symbiote. Well, and I don't want to call him a zookeeper, but he's like a little caretaker, I guess, maybe, or because
he's kind of like the guy that takes care of the people that are asleep in Inception, you know.
Well, what do we think about the symbiotes too? Like the fact that the symbiotes, we see them like swimming around in these pools and they're talking to each other through the electrical signals and whatever. Right. That was kind of neat. Like, and that they're a sentient species upon themselves, the symbiotes.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to know why you even bother going to the doctor first on Trill.
Yeah, why didn't he just
not the expert
and not trustworthy? And she kind of already knew that. And she should have just went to this guy first.
Yeah, but he got scared, Jeff.
He got scared. What made him so scared? We have to figure this out. Duran Ballard, we have to put the puzzles together. What does it all mean? Anyway.
Right, like this like telepathic energy that the Trills have. Like he's able to like touch her stomach, I guess, where the symbiote is, and he's able to like figure out what her condition is. Yeah, like to your point, why use a doctor with their fancy medicine when you got this guy? But like that they seem to be able to like channel these telepathic energies, the Trill.
Yeah, like that. Well, it seems to be like the guy that's in the caves is kind of like the holistic kind of like healer guy that doesn't really know what's going on, but he can feel it. And
he's a naturopath.
Naturopath. He kind of understands, you know, how the body works and how the symbiotes work. Yeah, I don't know. Like everything up until the point where you mentioned, Dave, where Timur gets scared is like meh. But everything after that, when Cisco and Bashir go into their investigative, you know, dialogue with each other, I really enjoyed.
You wanted to see it? You like the CSI of DS9?
Yeah, I like the Cisco Bashir. It reminded me of Supernatural. You know, it was like, you know, two guys trying to figure out a problem. What's going on? We got to figure this out. You know,
which one's which? We got. Bashir would be the Sam, I think, in this.
Yeah, Bashir's definitely Sam.
Sure.
Yeah, I could see that. They figure out this whole thing with Duran, and he died the same day as Tarius Dax, and they go, that can't be a coincidence. No, yeah, it can't be. And
No.
they start figuring it out, and then they find Duran's brother. Who? Okay, so
Yeah.
Duran.
By the way, my favorite scene of the whole episode is this scene.
This guy. They find his
Yeah.
brother, who
Yes.
he died 85 years ago, right?
Yes, makes no sense, but it's great.
And
How old is this guy?
well, I guess he has to be at least 100, right?
At least.
Because he said, he seemed like he was a young man when his brother died. And yeah, he's my favorite part of the episode too. I love the way he taught. He's just like, why would a Starfleet officer want to talk to me? And he gives him all this information, all this exposition.
Yes.
It fills in so much detail. It's great.
The back talk though, you missed the best part where it's like, you know him? He's like, of course I did. He was my brother. I just said it. Like that was the best. He was just back talking Cisco, and Cisco's like, all right, I'll deal with it because they need to figure this out.
Jeff, I have a couple questions for you concerning the scene.
Yeah.
So, where was one of the last places he saw his brother prior to having the communique? Where were they together?
Oh, what did he say? The academy, or
it's like a music academy. So they both played music. What was their last name?
Millar.
All right. What was the brother's first name?
Yola.
Duran, right?
Duran
and Yola.
The entire time I was watching this scene, I'm like, don't tell me their band name would be Duran. That'd be so awesome. Sorry, continue. That was just me on a...
No, that would be great. And then they'd be like hungry like a trill.
This actor, his name Harvey Vernon. He was only in this one episode of. This is the only Star Trek appearance he made. He was also known for being in Teen Wolf, and
which one?
The first one.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
but yeah, at first they're like, yeah, he's my brother, and he's like, I don't know what I remember, and then he's like, let me go to this other exposition about how he murdered a guy. Yeah, he killed the doctor.
Yeah, he did, and I believe he did it too.
Yeah, he had a violent temper. What do you want from me?
Right.
They should have used him as like an informant. Just have him on every couple of episodes. Do you know what's happening in Bajor? Of course I know what's happening in Bajor. Everyone knows.
Didn't I?
So awesome.
And they were like, he goes like, yeah, 6 months. He calls me up out of the blue. And he's like, he sounds different. He's colder. He's more confident. It's like, yeah, he's Dax.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like, it wasn't that hard to figure out as a viewer. It wasn't like a big
sleeping with a ton of people.
Wasn't a big mystery but I still liked it nonetheless.
But okay, I'm trying to understand. 85 years before this, Curzon was not the host of the Dax symbiote, right?
It was Tarius.
But yeah, like I'm just trying to understand the backstory of Curzon sometimes, when he would have met Kang and Koloth and them exactly, because it was about 80 years ago, right? So he couldn't have been the Dax host for very long when he was messing around with those guys.
It sounds like a loophole, Dave, and it might be not canon.
No, I think it is.
Could be canon alert. Canon alert.
I don't think it's a contradiction, but I think it's close to one. It's like
he wouldn't have met Kang and Koloth like around the same time as their appearances in the original series. It was years after.
No, I know that. I'm not questioning that. I'm just questioning because in the episode Blood Oath, they're saying that was about 80 years ago that they were messing with the albino and doing all those things.
Oh, okay. Well,
right.
But it could have been like 76 years ago.
Yeah, they might be rounding up. You're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. But when he was the host, when Curzon was the host and he was messing with those guys, he was a young guy and he would have been not been the host for very long.
No, it doesn't sound like it. They never say how old Curzon was when he got the symbiote, do they?
No, we always think of him as being old because Cisco calls him old man and
old man.
But like, how long had Curzon had the Dax symbiote before he even met Cisco?
80 years. Well, how long? 70
Long
years,
time.
60 years, something like that by that point.
So there you go. Okay, so all right, let's break down like the main, Cisco giving it to the doctor thing where he's like, "We know all about Duran," and she's like, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?" And he's like, "Listen, we know all about it. We can prove it. Blah 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 blah. 80 years ago, there was a memory block thing in her head, which is also like supernatural, very much like the wall that was in Sam's head with Satan. But so they were like, no, we need to figure this out. We need to, let Satan in, let Duran in, and then Jadzia will have that chance. You need to let her have that chance, okay?
And
she's got to go swimming with Duran.
She's got to go into the devil's, trap and come out, a different person.
What did you think of this version of Duran versus the Duran we got later with Esri, who was where was that? Sorry. This guy who played Duran later in like season 7.
This guy was better.
This guy was, he was more evil. But this guy felt more vulnerable, who apparently murdered somebody, but wasn't.
Well, maybe
he even kind of looks like Jadzia a little bit.
I thought it was Jadzia for a second with really horrible eyebrows.
Well, that shirt, it's a little bit.
That shirt is very feminine.
Very feminine, yeah.
A man would not wear a shirt.
Well, maybe a Duran would.
Duran would.
A man named Duran.
He is an artsy fartsy musician, so
and he'll kill you if you look at him the wrong way.
Right. And don't you deny him the chance to get a symbiote, because then he'll ice pick you.
Quiet.
But we have Cisco, he's like, what, it's hundreds, thousands, of people that could join. And just that whole scene. And I actually do think the lady that's playing the doctor does a great job too. Because then when she finally admits, she knows all about Duran, and she, it was all bullshit. She was lying. I don't know. I enjoyed the veil being dropped and them just getting to brass tacks. I enjoyed that whole part of that scene. Kevin, you haven't said anything about. What do you think?
Yeah, I liked it. It was good, I guess. I don't know. I don't really have much to say after.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. This isn't like your episode, and it's not my episode either. But this scene, I see what we're gonna get later in Bashir. I see some good Cisco stuff that we weren't getting in season 2.
Well, Cisco was barely in season 2 at all. And now we're getting a few episodes with a lot of Cisco. And Cisco, you're right. Cisco's coming into his own here as someone not to be messed with. He's tough.
He will figure out the problem. If you're trying to have some sort of secret and that you're going to let Jadzia die, he's going to figure out the reason why.
The way he solves problems, Cisco, is interesting. He's more ruthless. We've talked about this. We'll know what he'll do in later episodes that will make this look like nothing. And I think that this was because I know we'll eventually be getting the episode where they go back in time and they got to do the Bell Riot stuff, and that's another example of Cisco and Bashir working as a team. They actually do work pretty well together, but in comparison to the first season where nobody likes Bashir early on, but Cisco seems particularly to dislike him. Early on, right? And I think he's starting to warm up, or at least be able to work professionally with Bashir, even if he's not the best with the beats.
It takes 3 years for him to work professionally with the dude.
Yeah.
If he just ate Cisco's beats, it might go a long way.
Tend to the beats.
But that's the thing. Okay, I do agree. We've mentioned this before, though. I don't think Cisco gets to pick his doctor. And I think Bashir, he says in a later episode, that he won this opportunity to go. He chose Deep Space Nine. So that, says to me that Cisco did not pick him. So I think at first he was like, who's this guy? And I don't really like him. But I do think later on, and I do think it's not just because of the Bashir character. I think because Alexander Siddig is such a fantastic actor that when you pair him with Avery Brooks, it's like
jazz.
Just easy.
It's like jazz.
It's like jazz. You get a guy on the bass line. You get a guy kind of hitting the hi-hats. That's kind of what Bashir does for Cisco in a lot of ways.
Well, and they stopped writing Bashir to be so bumbly all the time. They were, from a writing standpoint, they were pulling back on it. And what a brilliant retcon to say, oh, he was genetically engineered and he was just plain dumb in those early seasons. Like every time you did like him, that was just him trying to fit in with the common folk or whatever. You know,
makes sense because he was extremely awkward. I don't know if it was because of the actor and that's how they wanted him to play that character. It's strange to me the way they chose his like why make him this kind of unlikable person at first, whereas everybody else doesn't like him. I guess we're supposed to feel sorry for him in some ways.
Yeah, right. Like being that guy that's kind of like a Barkley, like you sympathize with that guy who just can't quite fit in. I think that's
you just figured it out. That's exactly what happened. They're like, Barkley's working on TNG. Let's make Bashir kind of like Barkley, and I do think that's exactly what happened.
Was Barkley working on TNG?
For some people.
But he was in a lot of episodes.
He was popular. Barkley was popular. I not with everybody. I think he's sort of a polarizing figure.
I feel like we just like said like Babylon 5's good to Kevin. Like you saying Barkley is good and popular is like the worst thing. I feel like he wants to spit out his coffee.
Yeah.
I spit it out.
Barkley is not popular.
Barkley's not good.
Nobody take right there.
Nobody likes
it. Barkley is popular. I don't even understand the world anymore.
Yeah, tell me what's popular about him. Why do people like him?
No, he is awful, but I think much like you got to remember the time like Saved by the Bell, Screech, same thing. Like
no way. You are not comparing Barkley to the Screech.
I am definitely comparing Barkley.
No way. Screech with all of his issues.
Urkel. Yes, see? Urkel.
No, okay, you stop that right there. Okay, I'm gonna defend Urkel. Look, there is things that Urkel needs to be dragged for, but comparing to Barkley, that's too far.
Are you saying that Urkel is cooler than Barkley?
Yes, he is. Yeah. How many dances are named after Barkley?
We got diseases named after him, like the metamorphosis turned into a spider or whatever.
Barkley doesn't have an alter ego either. What's his name? Like
Stefan Urkel.
Stefan Urkel.
Barkley never turned into Bruce Lee. I'm just saying.
That's true.
Yeah, on the holodeck he did. He would turn into like Stefan Urkel, and
that's right. That's true. He is a lot like Urkel.
No, stop that. Stop it right there. Stop it. You need to. I'm talking to you. Stop right there. Okay,
I'm ruining Urkel for you.
No, you're not. You're embarrassing yourself, sir. How dare you? Who did Barkley end up with?
I don't know.
Barkley, nobody.
Nobody. Urkel at least got Laura at the end.
Yeah, he did. He
had kids.
Yep.
Didn't Barkley have a wife or whatever and a kid?
Stop it.
Didn't Barkley had like wasn't it a Bajoran like Dabo girl or something like that? Didn't he have?
Well, he had a girlfriend who just ended up being somebody was using him to get to 7.
Right, that's what it was.
So he had a girlfriend for a couple weeks who ended up being a fake.
And Troy was like, "Why don't you love her?" Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, Troy took vengeance on her by shaming her or something like that.
Yeah, doing something like that. Voyager. I mean, it became TNG for a few episodes and nobody knew why.
Ratings. That's ratings. This is where you go. But this is Star Trek 9 at 9-ish, not Voyager at 7. 7 at 7.
7 of 9.
7 to 9 at 7. That's what it would be called. 7 to 9 at 7. Or 7 to 9 at 7:09. Okay. Yeah. What else is there to say about this episode? Gia goes and takes a bath in a bowl of milk. Basically, after that, she goes, there's no words. And then she ends up just like staring out the window on the station. And then she ends up playing the thing that Jake had and starts, remembering Duran. And everyone's like, okay, I guess that's over. That's the end of the episode.
Now, let me ask you a question. Would it not have been a better episode if she started playing and then it cuts to like, people start playing music in the background and it cuts to like a DS9 rendition of Hungry Like the Wolf with
right. If she started playing like Duran and she was like, this is Duran's song. Hungry Like a Wolf.
Duran, not Duran.
It's Duran.
Duran.
That would have been awesome.
It would have been good. That's good.
Out on the station.
Yeah, I don't like this ending, Jeff. This ending is not well done.
I do like the little music part she does. That little touch is nice. The milk bath part is completely like drawn out, stupid. Doesn't need to be there.
Well, I think they had an opportunity there to we could have delved into her having to reconcile what Duran had done and having that pain, that blood on her hands, and trying to but they try to pay it off all with her just being kind of stoic and I'm dealing with this. Yeah. And Julian was here. Why don't you please fuck off and leave me alone for the night? I'll be I'll deal with it in my own time.
It would have been interesting if they had brought this up more often with Jadzia. Yeah. I mean, they bring it up obviously with Ezri in season 7, but if they had every now and then this had cropped up, at least there's something interesting.
Yeah, because she has the thoughts and feelings of not a murderer in her head. So she has some sort of murderous tendencies baked into her personality now.
But they never mention it again until season 7.
Yeah, they always try to the times they do bring back Duran after this, when she's going through her Jatana or whatever, all the I think I'm saying that right, with all the different hosts coming out and getting joined to the friends. So I think it's Avery Brooks who gets to take on to that personality, right? Yeah. And so they bring him back in that example, but they show him to be so malevolent and so evil in that episode, and not somebody she's. It's actually a contradiction to this episode where she's supposed to be sort of at peace with her past, and everything, and that comes along and it throws it into whack.
I don't know if it's meant to say that she's at peace with it. I think it's more that she has it under control. That's kind of how I took it, anyway. It was more she's playing the music. She's she has the memories, but just all the other personalities that she has, the other 7 hosts, she has to control them, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was what I took from her playing the music was she has control of the situation.
Yeah, I agree. This was a host with only 6 months of memories. Granted, it was potentially a very traumatic 6 months or a very murderous 6 months, but she's the Dax has had to reconcile all these personalities, all this past, right? For all the different hosts, including when John Glover showed up and took over the symbiote for a while, right? And we saw it.
Well, technically, it's 9.
Technically, yeah. And we want to count the John Glover character.
I do.
And then Ezri, it's 10. So Ezri was the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
10th Doctor.
10th Doctor. So it's like the David Tennant.
Yeah. And this is the War Doctor. Duran.
This is the war. Well, yeah, it's an interesting metaphor because the War Doctor, in that case, that was something the audience found out about when that was revealed in Doctor Who. But the Doctor didn't forget his past or their past. With the War Doctor, had just chosen to sort of suppress it or not talk about it anymore.
What? Well, that's kind of what happened. She didn't choose to, but that's the same thing that happened here. They were suppressed memories.
Right. But how did Duran die? I don't understand that.
I don't know if they said that. They just said that he died on the same day that the host before Curzon died.
Curzon killed him,
right?
No, so I think that was the part of the cover up. So Tarius was in this crash. I think he was the Dax symbiote was joined to Duran shortly after. For 6 months, Duran was Duran Dax. Something happened, and then the symbiote ends up in Curzon.
Right.
And
what happened?
We don't know. Why maybe they solved the murder and decided to just take the symbiote out.
Maybe.
Yeah, but what and that that's what they should have done in this episode is shown when they made the decision to take the symbiote out of Duran, killing him and putting it into Curzon. If they had shown us that scene in this episode, that would have been badass.
Because they do allude to that at the beginning of all of this. They say that sometimes the symbiote is taken out and the host is sacrificed.
Yeah, they set it up in this episode. I think maybe they wanted to do that, Kevin, and maybe the producers were like, I don't know if we can do that. Yeah. Yeah, because it's basically like euthanasia. It's kind of like killing somebody on an operating table. It's kind of like a messed up way to kill somebody.
And like whether you let
on cable TV,
a mother die to save a child, or vice versa, in those kinds of situations.
It's more a metaphor for the death penalty.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, it's like getting the lethal injection.
Right. There's a ton of parallels, to this issue. So that like just the rights over your body and the how you prioritize life and whatever.
You could look at like the symbiote as organs, right? When when they I do believe like if prisoners, if they kill you or whatever, they take your organs.
Like did Duran kill this guy before being joined? Yes.
I don't think so. I think it seems to be afterwards, but
she remembered it.
Yeah, she couldn't remember it if it didn't happen before the joining.
She couldn't.
I don't think so. I don't think that the symbiote has any memories of that host before the joining.
That's
right. That makes sense. That would make sense because why would you remember what Curzon's childhood was like, type thing? You know what I mean?
No, I don't think you could unless you like the host was thinking about those memories while they were joined. Then I think maybe there could be some transference of memory potentially. Because they say I remember what they thought, right? Like after from one host to the next, I can remember the thoughts of that host, but maybe not the non-joined memories. I don't know.
I mean, just the fact that we're kind of like what and who and is kind of like it's kind of like they didn't do a great job explaining it. But it is complex. In their defense, it is a complex thing. They needed to do a little bit more time to really flesh it out, but they kind of had too many characters to we need to do a Bashir episode.
Odo has so much to do, right? Like we have so much with the changelings and the founders and everything else. And so we also have this Dax character who's the Trill, and that's interesting and everything too. But it feels like in comparison to all the other issues, and she's not the only Trill in Starfleet. She's just one of many Trills, right?
Yeah. And it doesn't drive the plot. Like Odo will end up driving the plot with the changelings. We have a lot with O'Brien that has a lot more to do with like Starfleet or O'Brien must suffer.
Kira's got all the Bajoran issues tied in with the Maquis storylines very easily.
They could ease up on that. They didn't have to do all of them.
Like I think they do try to do their fair share with Dax and stuff, but I think that the Trill stuff especially gets backburnered after once Worf comes along too, right? Like
I also think because Trill's so far away too from Deep Space Nine, like it just seems like when they go there, it's like, oh, that's a trip. It's like going to Alaska, It's like
it was at least one night they had to pack their pajamas and everything.
Yeah, like exactly. They show you in this that it literally takes a couple days to get there. That Bashir has got to put on his.
But I think it's closer than Earth.
Is it really?
It would have to be.
I think so. I think Earth is. I always have this feeling like Earth is further away from Deep Space Nine than Trill is,
and Kronos too.
Kronos is even further away than Earth is.
Oh, okay. So I thought Trill was close to Kronos.
Well, we can look at a map later. There's some theories on where.
There's lots of different maps.
Yes, just look at it.
Yeah, there's a map behind.
Well, like Trill is sort of from like the southern south. They're from like the southeast Alpha quadrant, and like the Klingons are from like sort of the southwest Beta quadrant. So yeah,
Dave, there's a book at Indigo that you can go find that is got. I think it's like 20 different star charts of all of Star Trek.
Are they canon?
And they're big. They're big posters. Yeah, it's canon.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, there's some common accepted things that but it's all vague. Like it's not as well defined. Actually, I don't even think Star Wars is well defined. Star Wars has this great, amazing.
Well defined. Come on.
No, it's not. I don't even know I have no idea where they are most of the time in Star Wars. I have no idea what planet they're on, who lives there, what's going on.
That's because I don't care, though.
They're on a desert planet. They're on a snow planet.
They're on a rain planet. They're on
a swamp planet. Nothing makes sense in Star Wars. There's no.
Every planet's just one weather all the time.
They're like, that's Tatooine, and that's blah blah blah. It's okay. Who lives on Tatooine? Yeah, I don't know. We're not here to talk about Star Wars. We're here to talk about Deep Space Nine and Niners. And I think it is time that we get into a little bit of fun facts with Jeff.
Play the theme song.
Oh, you want the theme song?
What? It's part of this segment.
I think you just made Jeff's day.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
I don't know where it is. I have to find it.
You could just perform it live.
What the hell do you want from me?
For you to perform it live.
That would take work.
Damn it! We just can't leave her here.
Where? Sorry, one sec.
You go on me.
Oh my gosh. This is what I live for.
You got some facts for us, Jeff?
Yeah, I do. I'm bringing up the theme song.
Chief, I thought you were going to fix the replicators.
Very passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to like Cisco. I don't think he would be the fun captain to work for.
No, I got it.
Rom's an idiot. He couldn't fix a straw if it was bent.
This is one of my favorite lines because it's not true.
It's not even true.
All right, here we go. Fun facts with Jeff.
For some fun facts. It's a double F with Jeff. I've been studying IMDb metaphysic puzzles, and all I've got is Star Trek in my head.
I don't know about this theme song. I don't.
You hater. You hater.
Jaemeel likes it.
I like it.
Okay.
Please make sure it's ready for next episode, please.
I know I need to, like, at least some music. Like,
Look, there's music in the background.
Get some Duran Billar. Get some Duran Billar composition behind that or something.
There's a nice bass line going on in the back. Jaemeel heard it. Dave doesn't know. Okay. We're going into fun facts. We gotta bring it up. But that was important that we played the theme song. Jaemeel wants it ready for next time.
I think it's been like 3 minutes before. You haven't even said one fact yet. I've had this scroll up for like...
Dave, this takes place in 2371. So there's your first fun fact with Jeff.
Yeah, I already knew that.
Second fun fact. Duran also appears in Field of Fire, which is in season 7. Played by Jeff McBride. No, wait, sorry. Leigh McCloskey. This was Jeff McBride in this episode.
McCloskey was better.
McCloskey was better over McBride. They're both mix. Jay Chataway composed the music for this episode, which was his favorite installment of the first 3 seasons of Deep Space Nine.
It's not that good.
Are we supposed to take your advice, Dave? After what we just
these
heard?
are just my comments. I was just like, this is not the best
saying.
music. Yeah, but
Couldn't hear the bass line. I'm just saying.
Alexander Siddig El Fadil enjoyed Equilibrium due to the Bashir Dax relationship and the medical content in it.
he just liked the pajamas.
He liked the pajamas.
You got to take those pajamas home. That's why.
In this episode, for which Ronald D. Moore was credited as supervising producer, Dax keeps hearing a certain tune in her head and tries to figure out what it means. In several episodes of the reimagined Battlestar Galactica, in which Ronald D. Moore was executive producer, a few characters keep hearing all along the watchtower in their heads and try to figure out what it means. Oh,
I hadn't thought about that. That's true. Okay.
Oh, that didn't immediately. Okay, that came to mind immediately.
Yeah,
no, it does now that you say it. Yeah, it's obvious.
The exteriors on Trill were filmed at Huntington Gardens.
Yeah, the Trill planet looked pretty Earth-like.
It looked like on StarCraft, the Protoss. It looked like a Protoss, like.
Well, you mean just like with the building shapes?
Yeah, the buildings were very Protoss from StarCraft, and then yes, it was like Protoss met Bajor.
It looked like very like corporate to me. It looked like it was a bunch of just office buildings or skyscrapers in a nice, pretty.
Wouldn't the medical facility be in an office building? Like,
Yeah. It looked like a big matte painting.
It doesn't. It looks more modern than Bajor. Bajor looks a lot more ancient.
yes. Lest we forget, this is the same society that like believes in storytellers and the.
They like O'Brien to shoo away the space thing that's coming after them. Yes.
Are you?
This was also the first episode to establish that the Trill have surnames, which are replaced by the symbiote's name upon joining. Jadzia's original surname was never given during the series, nor was Curzon's, or any of the hosts that preceded Joran, though Ezri's was revealed.
Yeah, interestingly enough. Well,
Do you
she
know-
also
do you know what
revealed
her-
she has a living mother and sister who are not present for this episode.
Dave, what's her last name?
Dax, or you mean Jadzia?
Ezri.
Tegan.
Yes, that's correct. That's sad. You know that. This episode features a number of changes to the style of the USS Defiance bridge, including a new captain's chair, no fencing, and new consoles. Movement of the dedication plaque from the back to beside the starboard door, more consoles in the rear, and additional consoles on the walls of the side stations.
I did notice
Dave,
that dedication plaque. I noticed that.
There you go. And it was. Did you notice the consoles on the walls?
Not as much
and
because the Defiant was not shown in the House of Quark, and the amount of Defiant time we got in the Search, the first two parters of this third season, was limited, very limited, and it was quick in a lot of cases. We did get to see the bridge and everything, but this is only the second time it's really on the show.
I think they wrote the House of Quark just so they could finish upgrading the Defiant. They're like, we need another week, So all right, do House of Quark, which was good episode.
We'll put a dedication plaque up and we'll everything like that. Different stations.
This is the first episode to reveal that Sisko is from New Orleans and that his father runs a restaurant there, to feature the Trill homeworld and to show that Jadzia's spots do go down to her feet, as they can be seen briefly in shots of her on the hospital bed.
Yeah, that only reminds me of my most hated line in the finale of this show, Jeff, when spoilers, Ezri Dax ends up with Julie and Bashir at the end, and he's like, and I got to find how far down these spots really go. Ha ha ha. Right? When he's in bed with Ezri. And I'm like, you're a doctor. You were just studying Trill physiology. You know how far down the spots go, Julian Bashir. You suck.
It's a joke.
It's not good.
Christmas only comes. I thought Christmas only comes once a year.
No.
But I can't win if I can't play.
In the scene where the Trill symbiotes are shown in the pool, David Livingston commented, "We built a little pool area on stage 18. It was fun trying to figure out how to not make these things mechanical because it always looks cheesy. The idea is to shoot it like you do Jaws or Alien. You want to shoot it in a lot of shadows and make it go by real fast. I think it was pretty successful."
Yeah, I sure.
Yes.
It was good. It worked fine.
It is a bit difficult to determine just how many hosts that Dax has had. At the beginning of the series, she has had 7 hosts. In season 2, episode 4, Varad stole the Dax symbiote for a short period of time, and yet afterward, Dax still has had 7 hosts. With the revelation of another host, Joran, Dax should have 9 hosts in total, including Varad, and yet she still had only 7 hosts.
Who's counting though?
Jeff was.
Yeah. Dr. Renhall continuously mispronounces Jadzia's name as well as Dr. Bashir.
Yeah.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Isn't that what script supervisors are for? Aren't script supervisors supposed to say, hey, that's not how you pronounce things?
How did she say Bashir?
She pronounced some syllables more.
like Bashir or something like that.
Maybe that's her
or, like,
Trill
really-
accent. We don't know.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, maybe that was the acting choice.
she said their names mostly right. Just put the emphasis in the wrong
Yeah.
spot, I think.
She'd be like Jadzia.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, something like that. Okay, and finally, at the dinner party, Jake announces that they're having sauteed beets with dinner. The beets, Commander Sisko shows Bashir, however, are being braised.
They could have had it another set.
They're not
Cisco seemed to really like beets a lot.
But they're not being sauteed, so Jake, you know, kind of.
They could have had it on a different side, like it already could have been on the table.
Maybe they saute it first or braise it first and saute it. I don't know what
It's
the.
too busy
and then
with Dabo girls to worry about fucking beats. Jesus.
That's true. He's busy. Okay, Dave, let's get into the ratings.
All right, let's get into them. All right, and let's bring this up full screen. Okay, so Jeff, you want to go first? Equilibrium.
6.9.
I'm gonna give this I'll give this a 7.3. Neil?
7.0.
Did Ashley give you a rating?
No.
Kevin, or no?
Oh, I thought she said she was going to. She's on her way back.
Kevin?
And I'm a 5.
5. Wow. Okay.
It's fine, but it's not
much to
great.
say.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No,
fair
it's
enough.
no.
Okay, and this episode comes at an average between the four of us at 6.6. This has an IMDb rating of 6.8. This is the lowest episode of season 3 so far, and because everything we've been giving kind of 8s to so far. This is a little bit underwhelming.
I think the rating's accurate. So.
Just to look at it, so this was Cliff Bull directed this episode. This was Christopher Teague and Renee Echeverria did this episode, and it's a Dax episode, like we mentioned. But we got Second Skin coming next, where Kira gets turned into a Cardassian.
Oh, such a good episode.
Yes, that's next.
Because you talk. All right, the next episode, they do what they should have done in this episode. You know, better. They make you believe that that Kira might actually be a Cardassian.
Yeah,
and
like,
they do a
that episode's
fantastic
pretty
job.
convincing. In a lot of ways.
I get to the end of like almost to the end of that episode. I go, Kira's a Cardassian. I don't care what they say to me. I think she's a Cardassian. You know, like,
I guess she was a Cardassian the whole time.
They go to wrap the series with her being a Cardassian.
It was all bullshit. She was always a part of the Obsidian Order, and then Garrick reveals it to her right at the end. That would have been fantastic.
If they did the show now, they would have done it.
Ronald D. Moore. This is his like their Cylons.
Yeah, they were Cylons the whole time.
Yeah,
he was a Cardassian.
Odo's a Cylon.
Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, he was trying to.
O'Brien would have to be a Cylon. Have to be a Cardassian. That would be to punishment for O'Brien. That he would just hate himself so much.
Don't be trusting the damn Cardies.
Hate himself.
My wife is the most wonderful woman.
I love my parents. Keiko's the most wonderful woman.
Keiko's.
Oh, that's
Keiko's.
That's gonna be my O'Brien.
She could join you on the planet, Molly.
That's damn cold-blooded.
Dave. By the way, I want to do all right. The next time we do a Deep Space Nine episode on Radio Theater, can we please do statistical probabilities?
What's that?
That's the episode where Bashir has like the 4 genetically improved people, like Jack. Yes, yeah, we'll get to them. That guy. Can we please do that?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. We're doing
because that episode just has so many fun characters. You have like the really like flirty lady. You have like the kind of like just I don't know everything. The Bashir, you have great Bashir. O'Brien walks in and has to like fix like this stupid sound. There's a bunch of things in the episode that are really good.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that one. But speaking of, let's plug our shows.
Well, I mean, I think I already set you up for Star Trek Radio.
Well, yeah.
Theater.
So, yeah, thanks for mentioning. On Live Long and Podcast, we have all kinds of podcasts. We also have Wednesday. We have original series rewatches with our dad and Jeff and Jody and Adam Woodward. Tomorrow, we're doing Assignment Earth, which is Gary Seven and some cat. And I am not looking forward to this at all. So if you want to see me be miserable, the most miserable I could be with an original series episode, watch tomorrow night.
Dave, we didn't know any better back then.
We didn't know. We thought it would be fun to do a crossover with a man with a cat. Who
I always look forward to this episode.
Oh my God, it's the worst
I
thing.
love it. I think it's weird and I love it. Just like The Guardian.
You think it's better than the Equilibrium that we just watched?
Well, let's make it crazy. But
It's a low bar.
Low bar.
Yes, and
Low
then
hanging fruit.
And then we also have back catalog of other companion podcasts like Star Trek Movies, Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Lower Decks, Star Trek Picard. When other shows come out, we'll be doing all those. We do our Star Trek Radio Theater as mentioned, and this week we will be doing on Sunday night. It will actually be Ashley Millard's birthday as well. We're going to be doing Star Trek: The Next Generation's Disaster, where this is the episode actually where Molly O'Brien is born. And Troy's first time in the command chair, as well as some Frere Jacques will be sung here. So, Jeff, you'll be one of the Frere Jacques.
I love that Ashley gets to give birth on her birthday.
Yes. Who's playing Molly?
Well, it's up for grabs right now. So whoever wants to be Molly can be. We didn't cast Molly.
Look at Keiko's face in the picture you chose.
That's her best moment where she was like, I am pushing Worf because Worf's giving birth, helping her to give birth. I suppose he's not. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. This one's a lot. This is a bottle episode, which I think is actually one of the best things we can do on Rio Theater, which is just a lot of talking and dialogue and different scenes and characters. And then we also have Super Mater Brothers podcasting, where right now we have a bunch of we have Big Brother Canada 9. Jaemeel and I are covering that 3 times a week now. We did our first HOH and nominations last night. As we go into week 2 of that season, we'll be on tomorrow night, Wednesday, after the original series recap. We'll be on at 9. We're basically on 9 every night, or 10 sometimes. Depends how late the show is. And then Thursdays as well, when they do the live eviction. So someone leaves the Big Brother Canada 9 house each week. And that's what we're here to tell you about. So check that out on Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, where we have other channels like Survivor and Westworld podcasts and different things. And we're going to be here on Friday as Jaemeel, Ashley, and I are going to be talking about the whole first season or series of WandaVision as we start our MCU rewatch podcasts, or not rewatches, first time watches and recaps, as new MCU content will be covered over there, starting with WandaVision in the first season. So check that out Friday night. And Trivial Debates are our third channel, where we argue about movies, TV, sports, and more.
Oh, who won last time?
That would be you, Jaemeel.
Okay. Yeah.
Reigning champion.
Reigning champ. Yeah. He's going to have to defend that belt over on Trivial Debates once a month. We also have, if you've watched Star Trek Insurrection recently and you need someone to listen to, we have that for you as well. I mean, that's a very small amount of people. Might be one, but it's there for you if you want it. But for all of us here at D699ish, thank you for joining us here for season 3, episode 4, Equilibrium. We will see you next week when we talk about episode 5, which was the Cardassian second skin, the Kira Cardassian episode. Of course. See you next week. Live long and podcast.